Welcome back to Human Centered Experience. I'm your host, Hitesh. Let's start today with a scenario we all know. You need to renew a driver's license, or maybe you're trying to figure out the tax implications of moving a pension, or perhaps you're applying for a building permit. What is the immediate visceral reaction you feel? Is it excitement? Is it ease? Or is it a tightening in your chest? A resignation that you are about to enter a labyrinth of broken links, PDF forms that don't save, and hold music that sounds like it was recorded underwater in 95. We talk a lot on this show about business strategy. We talk about how companies fight for your loyalty. If Amazon delivers your package late, you might cancel Prime. If a bank's app crashes, you switch to a fintech startup. But the government, they are the ultimate monopoly. You can't switch providers for your passport. And because of that, we have accepted a false narrative that government customer experience has to be bad, that bureaucracy is inherently painful. Today, I want to challenge that. We're going to spend the next 10 minutes dissecting why governments are historically terrible at CX, why that is actually a design choice, whether they admit it or not, and most importantly, how we fix it. We're going to look at the massive gap between the federal websites and the gold standard across the pond, gov.uk. And we are going to map out a strategy for how the public sector can stop treating us like subjects and start treating us like what we really are, investors. First, we have to be fair. We can't just say government is lazy. That's lazy analysis. The root causes of bad government CX are structural. I've looked at research from McKinsey's public sector practice and Deloitte, and there are three distinct diseases that plague government experience. First is the Conway's Law problem, shipping the org chart. There is a concept in systems design called Conway's Law. It states that systems inevitably mirror the communication structures of the organization that built them. And government agencies are fiercely independent silos. The IRS doesn't talk to Social Security Administration, which doesn't talk to the Department of State. So as a citizen, you aren't dealing with the government. You're acting as the unpaid systems integrator for 5 different departments. You're the glue carrying the physical pieces of paper from one office to another to prove who you are. Second is the risk aversion paradox. In the private sector, if you launch a beta product and it has a few bugs, you iterate. You call it agile. In government, if a website fails, it's a front page scandal. It's a congressional hearing. This fear creates a culture of extreme risk aversion. It's safer to use a 20-year-old legacy system that is slow but stable than to try a modern cloud solution that might have a 1% chance of a security flaw. McKinsey notes that this leads to a focus on compliance rather than satisfaction. The goal of a government employee is often, did I follow the law? Not did I help the user? And the third is the customer versus citizen debate. This is a bit philosophical. Some bureaucrats argue that they don't have customers. They have citizens, and citizens have duties. When you frame the user as a subject who is legally obligated to file this form, you stop caring about fiction. But we know from other research on government trust that this is fatal. When people struggle to access services, trust in democracy itself erodes. Bad UX is actually a threat to legitimacy. Now, let's get tangible. I mentioned earlier that the US lags behind the UK. Why? If you go to a federal website, you're often assaulted by the agency's branding. The seal is huge. There's a picture of the cabinet secretary. The navigation is built around the department's internal organization chart. Bureaus, offices, compliance. Now, go to gov.uk. It is black and white. There are no pictures of politicians. There is just a search bar and clear, simple text. This wasn't an accident. In 2011, the UK created GDS, Government Digital Service. They made a radical decision. They abolished the hundreds of separate agency websites. No more Department of Transport, separate site. No more tax revenue, separate site. They moved everything under one domain, gov.uk. So the GDS established a strict service standard. You literally cannot publish a government service in the UK unless it passes an assessment. So rule 1, understand user needs. Rule 4, make the service simple to use. Or like the rule 12, don't build technology, build a service. So I was reading a Reddit thread discussing this difference, and a user noted that the UK model treats the government as one monolithic being. That is the key. The user doesn't care which department handles their driving license. They just want the license. The UK hides the complexity and other governments expose it. So we've diagnosed the problem. We've seen the benchmark. How do we fix it now? If you were the chief customer officer of a major nation, what would you do? I've synthesized this into 4 strategic pillars based on best practices from digital.gov and the Partnership for Public Service. First, solution 1, move to life events, not departments. This is the holy grail. We need to reorganize digital services around human episodes or human life, not bureaucratic boundaries. The current state is to have a baby, you fill out a hospital form, then a social security form, then a state birth certificate form. Instead, the future state should be you log into a portal and select, I just had a child. The system triggers the birth certificate, issues the SSN, and updates your tax withholding automatically. That is what Estonia has done with their X-Road data layer. It requires interoperability, agencies sharing data so the citizen doesn't have to resubmit it. Solution 2, the Phase 0 mandate. Too often, government contracts are awarded to massive defense contractors to build IT systems without any user research. They build the specification, not the solution. We need a mandatory Phase 0, a discovery phase where designers talk to real humans before a single line of code is written. We need to map the journey, identify the pain points, and prototype. Next and key is solution 3, which is the metrics that matter. Governments love measuring uptime. Is the website online? They need to measure success rate and effort. The metrics to watch are time to completion. If it takes 4 hours to fill out a student loan application, that is a failure, even if the website never crashed. And then next to have is the feedback loop. On gov.uk, every page has a link. Is there anything wrong with this page? It's a real-time listening post. We need that everywhere. Solution number 4, empower the frontline. We need to give government employees discretionary power. One of the biggest frustrations is hearing a government worker say, I want to help you, but the system won't let me. We need to design systems that allow for edge cases. If a system has a typo in their name, the agent should be able to fix it right there, rather than rejecting the application and forcing a 6-week restart. That requires trust in employees. To wrap up the narrative, that government is just bad at this is a choice. It's a design choice. We are seeing progress. Many governments across the world are finally pushing for life experience projects. Agencies are finally being graded on trust, not just volume. But as citizens, as the investors in this enterprise, we need to demand more. We need to applaud when governments simplify. We need to have patience for the digital transformation, but intolerance for the old bureaucratic excuses. Good customer experience in government isn't just about convenience. It's about dignity. It's about respecting the time of the people you serve. Until next time, keep putting the human at the center of the experience. Thanks for listening to my podcast. If you found this insightful, please subscribe, share, and check out my recent article on this topic on LinkedIn. As always, feel free to get in touch with me with comments, suggestions, and ideas. I'm Hitesh, and I'll see you next time.